If you have a sales team, odds are you pay them with some type of commission system. You set goals for them and they work hard to meet them. Sometimes you may pay them in advance or they get a draw on their commission. If they don't meet their goals, have you thought about penalizing them by taking away that commission? And I know what some of you are thinking. That could be a crazy thought. Seems harsh. And when I first saw this in Dave Kell's email, I thought that's an interesting topic. So here we are today. I'm with Dave Kell, the owner of Kellway Cell System. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
Good. Quite a topic you sent out to your contacts there. What is the strategy? Taking back commissions? Is that even something to consider?
Well, I respond to questions from time to time, and this is a question that came in, and actually at first I was a little bit put back, like, what? What are you talking about here? But then the more I thought about it, yeah, I think there's one circumstance under which it would be okay to retrieve commissions that were already paid. And that is when if there's different places you can pay a commission. You can pay on the receipt of the order, you can pay on the invoice, you can pay on the receipt of cash. So if you're paying on the receipt of the order or the invoice, you've paid a commission, and that invoice is not paid for whatever reasons, then you have paid a commission that really was never earned because the money never came in. And so under that one set, very small, tight set of circumstances, I can see you saying, you're going to have to return that commission because the sale was never completed. So that's the one place, very tight set of circumstances where I think it's okay. Other than that, honestly, I think it's a terrible idea to try to return or retrieve commissions that have already been paid. And, I guess it depends on what you mean by that question. So, for example, if you mean you're paying a draw, and they did not earn the draw, but you've already paid it, can you take it back? And I think it's illegal to do that. And if it's not illegal, it's certainly distasteful. It's just like, come on. The principals of a sales organization have a responsibility to assume some of the risk for that person. Typically when you hire somebody, you pay them some set fee, whether it's a salary or whatever, till such time as they begin to earn additional commissions, and that's your risk. And so when you pay a salesperson, that's you putting it at risk. And I think you have a responsibility to take some of that risk to say, we're going to pay a commission, and if we don't like how much you've earned, we're going to take some of it back. And that just doesn't sit right.
I agree, Dave. And I've never worked on a commission myself, so I don't know what that's like, but I have worked with people who sell products in organizations I've worked with that got a draw against their commission. I mean,
Yes, yes,
that sounds normal. Sounds like it is a thing that is normal.
yeah.
And I've asked what happens if you don't make your goals.
Hmm.
Never really got a straight answer. Maybe there
Yeah,
wasn't really a process
yeah,
there or no one wants to talk about it. But
yeah.
yeah.
Well, there's various positions in regards to a draw. So typically, a draw is thought of as an advance against future commissions. So and typically, you find a draw in situations where there are really big ticket, long sales cycle items. So like I work for a lot in the woodworking equipment industry, and I'm not talking handsaws here. I'm talking $200,000 pieces of equipment. And that's a long sales cycle. So a salesperson can be doing everything right, and it could be a year before the thing comes to fruition. So in those kinds of circumstances, a draw is very common because it's an advance against commissions. The question comes up is when those commissions don't equal the draw, what happens? And for the most part, that's my point about it's your risk. I mean, you took the risk of paying a draw, and I don't know that I don't know this because I'm not a lawyer, but I think you'd be hard pressed to make a case for returning some of the money that you've already paid, even though you call it a draw. Even though we all know it's an advance against commissions, still it was sent from your checkbook to theirs, and man, that's really tough to
It,
take
it
that
would be
back.
very tough.
Yeah.
for most people working for a living to pay back an earning that they received. So no,
Yes.
I knew our conversation today would be somewhat, this is kind of a crazy thought to do that, but it was a question you got. And
Yeah.
the thing is, there's ways to do this right. There's ways to set up a sales system, commission system that works. Maybe in
Yes.
closing, could you just outline what that looks like to you? And
Yeah.
maybe I know in your newsletter, you talked about the following year, you might change the percentage of
Yeah.
commission based on what happened before,
Yeah.
not as a
Yeah.
take back, but as a correction. Can you touch on that?
Yeah. So, one of the things I do, I mean, for a living, is we do revise compensation plans. So we've done dozens and dozens, and so I really have some experience in developing and refining compensation plans, sales compensation plans. So the typical plan these days, I mean, what we usually end up with is a salary, typically maybe 50 to 60% of the anticipated annual income. So let's start there, anticipated annual income, and then you pay a salary. And then there are incentives, not commissions, incentives on various behaviors. So one of the things that we can do these days that we couldn't do 20 years ago is we can incent very specific behaviors. The reason why most people get paid a commission is because for years that was the only thing you could measure. It's easy to measure sales and gross profits, hard to measure anything else. But today we can measure all kinds of things, and so we can add incentives to all kinds of behavior. For example, penetrating key accounts, we can measure that's a behavior we can incent. We can incent key product line sales. We can incent new customer sales. So today we can incent very precisely the kinds of behaviors we want.
But I do like your
Yeah.
thought on there's some risk that has to be taken by the person paying the salespeople, that organization. That
Yes.
makes sense.
Yeah. One of the ways that kind of self-adjust that we're doing a lot these days is this year's or next year's salary is a percentage of this year's revenue. So as the revenue goes up, the salary goes up because it's a percentage of what's previously done. And
Okay.
because it's a percentage of last year, you have a pretty good expectation they're going to at least achieve that much in sales next year. So it protects you and still allows for some adjustment that is really self-determining. You don't have to decide what every salary is going to be because it's automatically determined by the performance in one year versus the next. So that's a way to kind of make that transition.
Makes sense. Well, Dave, this has been good stuff. I appreciate your time.
Always a pleasure, Jeff. Thanks for having me.